Welcome back to the Tinny of Truth, and with your first swig of the night, let me tell you about the fucking Sardinian tsunami that was about to turn France into an open-air corpse museum. I had stacks for days moving up north right into their flabby underbelly, but being a strategic genius, I was pulling the simultaneous eye gouge ball kick combo with landings all over Europe. One team went out to bring bolognese to the Balkans, another was further south sneaking on the Greeks, and I had guys storming the shores of the head snail slurper's home settlement, Corsica. I was going to boost his whole island, tow it over to Sardinia and duct tape it onto the side to make more space to store the 3 billion tons of mink fur coats we built up since the French stopped wiring us their life savings to get them. The surprise wasn't going to last forever, of course. Napoleon minus 2.0 was going to have a chance to react. Turned out, little did I know, that he had a sneaky fleet that rolled up on my landing party without bringing its own beer. I told my guys to play it cool and just move to the party in my backup party pad in Greece. The lamers wouldn't have the balls to roll up there. But these sailors were Sardinians, of course, so they ended up sailing right past the joint despite it playing fucking Darude sandstorm so loud I think it was causing an actual sandstorm down in Africa. When I found out they'd fucked it up, I just deleted them from my Facebook and told them, you're on your bloody own now. To be fair, they did actually put up a big scuffle for their lives and took most of France's fail sail down to the bottom with them. Nice one, mates. I'll dedicate the next performance of Never Too Pissed for a Down Under Kiss to you. Word had got around that I was hawking front row tickets to the execution of Europe's big men on campus, so suddenly I had a queue of people at my door asking if I'd come out for a cheeky pint with them. Austria said they were buying, but I told them nah, it's on me. I felt sorry for them since they only had about 2 square feet of territory left. Got friends with the Brits and the Ruskies as well, which was nice, although they kept Snapchatting me the most disgusting shit I'd ever seen. Must get bored easily up in the corners of the map. The best thing though was the Ottomans. Now I've never said a word to them, and they've never said a word to me. But out of nowhere their fleet rolled up and gave the French fleet a 10 out of 10 drive-by, then, cool as a motherfucking moon cucumber, sailed right away without looking back. No words, no nothing. I had the weirdest boner for the Ottomans right then, but it was time for the fireworks to start back on the war fronts. First, I sent my fleet, trailing huge banners reading "Fuck the French" behind them, to go find the French main fleet. There it was, pissing away its life in port, so I thought, right, trap them inside, double up on the curse word class battleships, and if they try anything, we'll be doing the cha-cha slide on their coffins before our morning sugar cakes hit our stomachs. So on to the military action. The Balkans brigade just walked in on enemy lands, no problem. The Greek clique had to start sieging out the French army from Athens. Nothing too serious, but not worth rushing in to die over either. In Italy, I ordered one army to take Milan, but unfortunately they got held up behind a bloody Rue migration or something, because they never actually got there. At least the guys going to Torino got there, but somehow they caught with of 3,000 French bots, quite a lot, so I told them to just sit tight for a second. Needed to organise the first big attack, which was Venice. This was where the real shit was going down. I corralled up 13,000 shooters against half that number. Couldn't be asked to watch my man fuck it up, so I told them to just get on with it while I was in the shithouse. Came out to news we actually won. Finally our men were getting the hang of it, and more importantly, the first piece of the cheesefuckers empire was mine. Found it in the same shitty state as Sardinia had been back in the day, so I had to start slapping the locals around to get their asses in gear. The French Empire might have been fine with you living in houses made of your own shit, I told them, but in Sardinia, being a brainless piss muncher is punishable by having 2 buckets of the finest pirated tarantula legs stuffed down your throat and then getting fired out of a howitzer through a ring of burning zebra corpses. I thought the exotic punishment would powerfully pauperise the pile of purloined poaching prizes presently parked on practically all parts of my perfect provinces, and I was right. In Corsica, we were going to wreck the place, but the homeboys wanted to make this rumble outside, so we met them on the way for a classic smoky gun shuffle. They came in, surprisingly, in orderly lines, almost as if they actually knew what they were doing. These blokes had taken over half the world, remember, so I was expecting a challenge, but seeing them walking in a straight line really gave me the sweats. The strategy was the textbook one, the textbook being an old heavy book called Shooting Each Other in the Face for Dummies. The men would get to work getting shot for the greater good, while the dragoons told their horses to get them closer as they wanted to hit the enemy with their swords. It was a little hairy, enemy all over the place, horses struggling to make a dent in the enemy, the fields filling with smoke and death. But what do you know, their general had gone to the same military college as the rest of the officers we'd seen so far. The one where they teach you that if you kill yourself it will inspire your men to follow your example. Their boss piled right into my grenadiers, the beefy guys who survived on a diet of protein shakes and tricep dips. Didn't even have time to finish saying thank bloody fuck for that before he got his head ripped off by one of those Brosif Stalins. Half the enemy saw their big man's corpse being deadlifted up and down over there, looked down at their watches and saw the hands aligning with fuck and off, saw the Grim Reaper pointing at them from behind our lines, saw the clouds twist into a perfect image of Napoleon getting its fifth limb dismembered by a Sardinian swamp dingo, which by the way was basically a weird ass dog thing I'd been breeding to make myself feel more at home. And finally, they realised it was time to turn it up and burn it up. Soon all that was left of them was the smell of pissed breeches, and the battle was just a slaughter of the guys who didn't wear watches. By the end of it, there were 6,000 fewer Frenchmen in the world, and the duct tape for the great Corsica connection was being prepared. The next bit of action was over in Milan, where my troops finally arrived. They told me the enemy was strong and they needed my help, and I told them, bloody Struth, just grow a pair and fucking run at them screaming naked or something. They were only Frenchmen. And sure enough, 5 minutes later, I got a text saying Milan had fallen. Torino, pretty much the same thing. Told my guys to forget putting on their makeup and just do the bloody killing. They jumped in, got just enough of them killed to make sure my little funeral parlour side business was still going, and the city was suddenly covered in Sardinian flags and escaped swamp dingoes. As for Corsica, I jokingly told my man to let the enemy surrender, but they only fucking went and actually did it. Idiots thought that letting the French live was actually acceptable, despite me going to all the effort of burning fuck the French onto the surface of the moon with a giant mirror. So yeah, they had to hang their heads in bloody shame while they yomped over to finish the job. Now, all the way over in the Balkans, the Sardinian Boy Scouts summer adventure ran into a little trouble in the form of a fuckton of French Girl Scouts selling cookies which were studded with shrapnel and just blew up in your face. Told them to steer clear of those creeps and find somewhere easy to conquer. Needed to get some good propaganda for my No Sardinian Has Ever Died in Battle recruitment campaign, since people had cottoned on to the fact that I was holding 20 funerals a day and it wasn't exactly being explained by people choking on their morning rhino horn full of sugar. Nearby, my forces were busting out of Italy. I quickly browsed to DoesSardinia-OccupyCroatia.com and saw the exact moment when it switched to saying yes. The next target was Vienna. Looked pretty easy, so we rolled up, but the French took us by surprise, emerging from a series of fake latrine pits. At least I think they were fake. A whole damn army right there, so my soldiers scarpered south, striving to shake the smell. Finally, I turned my attention to Greece. We had the French trapped in Athens, but we weren't going to starve them out anytime soon. Rumour had it the frogs could just eat all of the famous Athenian sewer bison. No such thing as an Athenian sewer bison, you say? Well, now you know why. Anyway, I was thinking that probably we should just reschedule our trip to the Korean massage parlour for Wednesday next and get the killing started today. We were facing General Jean Victor Marie Moreau, aka the man with as many names as he had nostrils, the position of the extra two known only to the most unfortunate of his acquaintances. Quite the opponent, but I had to make the best of what nostrils I had and get jiggy with it. Now the battle was a straight up 2-line, 10,000 gun, no mercy grudge match. One interesting little detail was that the enemy brought some blokes, these regiments that combine gun crazies and crazed horses to make these weird mounted musket madmen who were a bit of a bugger to pin down. Interesting, as I said, but not bulletproof, so ultimately they were going to struggle to walk into the wall of shot my men provided just as much as their two-legged companions. So things went as normal, shot guys, ran up to other guys to make it easier to shoot them, shot another episode of corpse looting for intermediates, did a few shots of Tia Maria, shot to the top of the charts with the smooth jazz remix of Never Too Pissed for a Down-Under Kiss, all the usual gunfight did while waiting for battles to end. Among all the chaos though, there was a little incident that took me by surprise. I had sent a load of my cav to chase off the enemy's horse-mounted shitlords, and they had ran off, leading my men into a dirty trap. Lines of spikes had impaled my riders, somehow leaving the enemy alive, meaning I'd actually gotten myself a little fucked over on the right flank. Absolute bullshit, I tell you. Now, you've probably heard the saying, fool me once, fuck off, fool me twice, I must be pissed. Well, on the other side of the field, I was merely getting my cav ready to slaughter the enemy when I realised they were pulling the exact same shit, holding their cav behind spikes and using them to stop me going around the back of their infantry. I mean, fuck, I was showing up to these things with the expectation that the enemy was going to run their chance of winning into the ground in minute 1 by mistakenly bringing marzipan replicas of their weapons into battle. This was some actual brain-powered strategy right here, not something I tolerate in my enemies. Didn't bode well for the rest of Operation FTF, but I guess I was just going to have to win by other means. Luckily the enemy's infantry were derpy as ever, so our boys just did the old run and gun routine until after a while the enemy started to pack it in. By the end of it we'd killed 5 times more of them than they had of us, plus we'd captured a whole damn country in about as long as it takes the average Sardinian to spell their own name. The place was one of the world's many 5th world countries, so we had to sort it out, but I wasn't planning on hanging around that dive. I wanted to go punch more Frenchies as soon as possible. The plan was to hit Belgrade from 2 sides, wipe out the French army and use the corpses to bait the Kraken into smashing up their navy. I was probably the first commander to factor in the use of the Kraken into my strategic planning, but I wouldn't be the last. Before any of that could happen though, there was a slight upset. The big dog, the king of Ming, the fail whale with a mouthful of snails, showed up near Vienna, wanting to drop a few rhymes on my army. This was actually genuinely shitty, because not only did he have more men than me, but his men were all death robots sent back from the future on a quest to kill the ancestors of One Direction, meaning their stats were through the fucking roof. And let me tell you, when you're as rich as me, your roof is pretty damn high off the ground. So my men were in trouble as Maximus, and I rode day and night to get there before they just shit themselves so hard it would look like the Alps grew a new mountain. It was time for my first Sydney showdown with the greatest evil of all time. Alright, here's one for all you Sheilas out there. You know who you are. I got a promise for you. I got a promise that I always keep. I'm just letting you know that even though I'm always down the pub, I can still love you just the same. And there's a reason for that. It's because
never too pissed for a down under kiss.
That's right, I could finish another titty or 2, it won't make a difference, I swear.
Never too pissed for a down under kiss.
Well, that vomit was already there when I came out, honest. Come on, you know how it is. Sure, I can still stand up. Well, I don't have to prove it just because you asked. Look, this isn't a bloody police interrogation, is it? I'm right as rain. Oh, well, hang on. Just I think some of it's trying to get back out. But no, I'm bonza, mate. Get these fucking paramedics out of here. Come on, Sheila, you gotta believe me. I'll give you what you need. Haven't you heard what they say?
Never too pissed for a down under kiss.
The thing is, realistically, you don't need to be able to walk to enjoy a little romance, right? Come on.
Never too pissed for a down under kiss.
And look, don't pretend I could remember your name even when I wasn't smashed. It's all the same. Now I know what some of you guys out there are thinking. Surely a man who bleeds fucking lager isn't going to be able to maintain a stable relationship with anyone. Well, you know what I say to you, you bogan fuck? Why would I want a relationship with anyone who doesn't respect my hobbies? If I only leave the pub to go down the offie and get booze on the cheap, is that so bad? Well, I say it's all underrated, because there's a truth you've got to remember to all this. Get the choir in. We here, boys.
You're never too pissed for a down under kiss.
It's true, mate. My dad told me. You just can't get that pissed. It's not even possible. He's right.
You're never too pissed for a down under kiss.
No one's ever been that pissed. What are you talking about, love?
It's not possible.
Never too pissed for a down under kiss.
Just one more.
Let me show you how we kiss down under. Yeah, That's what I'm talking about.
Oh my.
Never too pissed for a down under kiss.
Yeah, I'm not vomiting, it's just love coming out.
So much love.
Never too pissed for a down under kiss. Oh no, 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 you're
Come on.
never
Stop
too
that beat, is it?
love.
Oh, fuck.
Come on.
Dear.
Never too pissed for a down under kiss.
Fucking hell. It's like you've never been to Australia before. What do you think this is? Oh. Here it is.
I think he's fine. Give him a kiss.